lot of the workshops that we do, and we have a lot of those conversations about those safe places. And it's not, the purpose is not to exclude men. And, you know, if men are going in a room, what was it, Michelle Obama that said, hey, men, go talk about your stuff, like, go do that. And at the same time, you know, and there is a safe place that we create for women to just kind of let it all out, and then go move forward from there. And then at that point, we're able to share a little bit more freely and bring men into the conversation.
I see it happen all the time too. I teach a cinematography class at USC, and I see it all the time where guys don't even really know that they're actually going and taking the camera out of the girl's hands and doing it for them. And a lot of it, I think, goes towards like this, towards the chivalry, the idea of chivalry, where they want to pick up a heavy light and move it for the girls and do all of this. And I don't think they even realize what they're doing, and to just bring that to light, you know, that you're doing this. And look, I ask for help. If there's something big and heavy, I want someone to help me, whether it be a man or a woman. And men should ask for that help, women should ask for that help. We're lifting, you know, 500-pound dollies, and I'm not going to do it on my own. Neither is the biggest, bulkiest, strongest guy. You know, we all asking for help. But to be really conscientious of helping when you're asked for help, and not taking someone's power away, which they're doing, and they don't even realize they're doing it.
Well, and they don't even realize that, you know, gender bias is a big thing, and it's both ways. I mean, even in raising kids or having friendships or any of those things, we all have bias in some form or fashion. And I think that, you know, one of the things, so you've talked about conversation, you've talked about consciousness, and I think that the place in between becomes where we're accepting of what's not criticism. It's not criticizing the way that men are doing something, or even the way that we as women are doing things. It's we need to talk about this, have a conversation to bring it to consciousness, so that when that's happening, it can be like, oh, wait a minute, that might not be what I need to be doing in this situation. And that's beautiful.
And one of the things I've been trying to do, and it's really hard, I've tried to stop using the word guys. Right?
Isn't it hard?
Oh, God.
It is hard.
It's
I
so
probably have
hard.
said it 4 times today.
I know.
And, you know.
I know, but I've really, really tried to stop using that word, unless I'm talking to 3 guys. You know, hey guys, you know.
You actually are.
But if I'm talking in a general term, or if I'm talking to a group of people, I really try not to use the word guys. It's incredibly challenging, but it's been great for me to realize what my own biases are and what's culturally been sort of embedded in me forever, really.
And that's so unconscious, and it is sometimes just language and little things that we do. I had a friend talk to me. We did a segment. We've got something called Ask Amy. We did a segment on more good men, because we do have a portion of what we talk about where, and this pertains to media as well, men don't see a lot of good men in media either. And so, you know, lifting those up and talking about what does a good man look like? What is it that men are striving toward in the man box that they live in? And he reached out to me later and said, you know, even in his relationship with his wife and their kids, his wife will caution his daughter against doing something dangerous, but not his son. And, you know, and so he brought that to her attention. And again, this is out of love. This is in a safe place. And these are just the conversations that we have to have, not just but they are so unconscious. And she is a strong woman. She is like out there doing it, and we're not even thinking about it half of the time.
I know. And then I think about, a lot of times I think about these poor guys too, like my husband, who's amazing, incredibly sensitive, you know, and just one of these good guys. And, you know, I'm constantly saying, oh, what about this? You know, and talking to him about these things, and he hears me and he changes it and he listens to all this. But I do worry. I kind of go, well, are they going to stop knowing how to act? Are they going to just be like robots now, you know, because we're constantly saying, well, you can't say this, you can't do this, you have to do this if you're doing this, you know, and that increasing awareness. Are they just going to like stop opening my door for me, which I love. I love it when he goes and he opens my door for me, you know?
I know. It's true. It's like, I know, where's the rule book? It's changing every day.
Yeah.
Well, my husband and I talked about, I talked to a lot of men during the rise of the Me Too movement, and talked to them a lot about, how does this feel? And one of the things that my husband said was, and he grew up, he was in a fraternity, and so he said, I realized that I probably participated in rape culture. And rape culture is a spectrum, right? That is everything from, talking about women's bodies and catcalling and things like that, all the way to rape. And, for a lot of men, I think what's coming to consciousness is simply not stopping something.
Right.
That, you saw a girl being taken up and maybe she wasn't doing so hot and you didn't do anything about it, is that participation piece. And so I do think that, some of those realizations and it is rewriting the rule book for decades, thousands of years, decades, hundreds, thousands of years,
right.
That is happening in a really rapid pace.
Right.
And so I hope that we'll find some patience and all of those things. But yeah, and it's also individual relationships too.
Right.
That relationship with your husband, that's an agreement between the two of you.
Exactly.
Yes, please open my door.
Yes.
So you are here. You are an empowered woman.
I am.
Empowering women.
I'm empowering women.
You are all about women supporting women, as are we.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you feel like culturally, in the grand scheme of filmmaking and being a woman you're a minority in a minority role? So what do you feel like is changing? Is like in the middle of changing, is going to change, like you see it on the horizon, and then what do you really, really hope will ultimately be happening?
Yeah. I mean, the good news is we really only have an upward direction to go.
Yes.
We can't go down much more. So that's a good thing. I mean, it was funny because I was at the Women in Film panel, and they were talking about numbers like, the goal is 30%, and and these movements where they want at least one woman considered in the job, and I was like, wow, these are very small goals. Like, why not 50%? Why not half the women considered are women, or half the people for a directing position are women,
Yes.
So I do wonder too about our own responsibility to sort of aim higher. I think that I'm hopeful because I don't know that there's any other way to be, really, and I think that's the way that I sort of move forward. I'm hopeful because it's very easy for me right now to go out and hire an almost exclusively female crew, and that wasn't the case 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I have these women on my Rolodex. I'm hopeful because there are places like this, the Bentonville Film Festival, where there are open conversations about women in the industry and what that means, and I'm hopeful because I see the faces of not just women, but women of color, people with disabilities. I see a changing landscape, and I don't know if it's all talk. I think there's some action behind it. And it makes me very excited because I was on a shoot where we were interviewing Reese Witherspoon a few weeks ago, and she requested an all-female crew.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts getting exciting when, Gina Davis has been at this for a long time, right, talking about this.
Absolutely.
But now, you get Reese Witherspoon asking for an all-female crew. You get Ava DuVernay asking for 50-50 or somewhere close to that. You get Frances McDermott getting on stage at the Oscars saying, inclusion writer. And so this is a message that starts to be heard from people with a lot of power.
Yes.
And I make my little tiny effort, and maybe it changes a little tiny percentage. But if people are doing that in a tiny way all over, then it starts to make a difference. And if the big, powerful men and women are doing this, then that's when I think change really starts to happen.
Amen. We should say nothing more because that was so perfect. That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That was beautiful. We are going to quote you on all of that. Like, we're just going to play that on a loop. We're just going to be like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Aim higher. I love it.
Aim higher.
Aim higher and walk the talk.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
Yay. I'm so glad you came in with your t-shirt today.
Sometimes I need to unplug. Sometimes I've got to reboot. Sometimes I just want to sleep. But I always want to connect with you. Get into Brew Moods, aromatherapy lotions powered by a mindfulness app.